believe, the only pharmacist in the House and the Senate. Pleased to have him on this committee. We'll now recognize him, Mr. Carter of Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, before I start, can I inquire of you, the witnesses took an oath and they're still under oath now?
Absolutely.
Okay, just want to make sure. Ms. Bresch, have you ever seen a, excuse me, a child have an anaphylactic shock? You ever witnessed that?
I haven't.
Excuse me. You have not?
No.
Have you ever gone up to a pharmacy counter and carried, you know, a pack of 2 epinephrines and 2 EpiPens and told a mother of a child who has had anaphylactic shock, who has an allergy, that the price of that's going to be $600?
No.
Have you ever seen a mother cry because she can't afford the medication for her child? Well, the reason I ask you this, Ms. Bresch, is because I've experienced it. I've seen this. I've seen a mother go out and have to call family members to see if she can get the money together to try and see if she can pay for this medication that she knows her child has to have. I've witnessed that firsthand. None of us are without blame here, Ms. Bresch. None of us. And I include my profession as well. Let me ask you a couple of yes or no questions. First of all, the 608 wholesale acquisition cost, is that AWP?
No, sir.
So it's just wholesale acquisition?
Yes.
Okay. Wholesale acquisition cost is $608. You said that your company receives approximately $274, is that right, after rebates and allowances?
Correct.
Okay, so after you take out the expenses like manufacturing, acquisition costs, packing, regulatory compliance, all of those things, your profit is even less than that, is that correct?
Correct. That would be the $50 per pen.
Okay. So after you do that, Ms. Bresch, do you have any contracts with PBMs? Does Mylan have any contracts with any pharmacy benefit managers, PBMs?
Yes.
You do have contracts with PBMs?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe some of those contracts for me very briefly?
The contracts are around products, multiple products, to participate on the formulary so patients have access to the products.
Okay, so we established earlier that over half of the list price does not go to Mylan. Do you know how much the PBM receives?
I don't have a breakdown between the channels, but that's where showing that between those.
I understand, but do you know specifically how much the PBM, the pharmacy benefits manager, receives?
I don't specifically know the breakdown between those 4 buckets, between the PBMs, the pharmacy, the insurers, or the wholesalers.
Nor do I, and I'm the pharmacist, and I don't know either. In fact, nobody knows. That's the problem. Nobody knows how much of this is going to the pharmacy benefits manager because there is no transparency. That's the problem. Do you know how much the PBM receives in rebates and other fees that are related to the EpiPen whenever one is adjudicated through a pharmacy?
I don't.
You don't. Nor do I. All I know is that my computer calls the insurance and they tell me how much I'm supposed to charge the patient. I don't know how much you're getting as a manufacturer. I don't know how much the insurance company's getting. I don't know how much the PBM's getting. That's where transparency comes in. That's what we need. Do you know how much of the EpiPen savings, the related savings and rebates that the PBM gives back to Mylan? You said you had contracts with PBMs. How much do you get back from the PBM?
I don't know. I don't.
Remember, you're under oath. Do you know how much you get back in rebates from a PBM?
I just don't want to give you an inaccurate number. I agree that we have contracts.
Do you know? Can you provide us with that information, Mr. Chairman? Can I ask for that information?
Absolutely.
I'll certainly go back and look at that. I'm just saying I don't want to give an inaccurate number to you.
Okay, so you don't know how much the PBM receives or keeps for itself. Nor do I, nor does anyone else, whether it's the manufacturer, the insurer, or the pharmacist. None of us know. What we do know is this. Prescription drug prices have soared, and so have the profits of PBMs. They are in the billions of dollars. Until we have more transparency in the PBM market, we're going to continue to see these kind of cost increase. We're going to continue to see this. That's why we need bills like House Resolution 244. My good friend, Representative Doug Collins from Georgia, has introduced this bill dealing with the MAC transparency. It's called the MAC Transparency Act. This would help us and take a step towards transparency. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for holding this hearing today, and I want to reiterate my request that I have made to you and to this committee from time to time about further investigating how deceptive practices by PBMs are impacting drug prices. Would you agree with that, Ms. Bresch?
I certainly would agree that transparency is needed. For the healthcare system has evolved dramatically over the last decade, and I'm sure as you've seen as a pharmacist, that the system hasn't kept pace with this evolution of the healthcare system. And
the system hasn't kept pace.
how
PBMs have had
transparent.
billions of dollars in profits. Yet
That's why
I
I'm saying
have
the
to sit there and take a prescription to the counter to a mother whose child has suffered from anaphylactic shock and watch her cry and watch her have to call family members in order to get the money to pay for this medication. And we don't know where it's going. You say it's not going to you. Where is it going? I need to tell her.
And
I
so-
need to tell her where that money's going.
The most immediate thing I could do was put a generic into the market. And
Don't go there. You know I know better than that. That is wholly, that is a crock. And you know that I know that. It is. There is no difference whatsoever. Ms. Bresch,
we
don't.
cut the price.
You cut the price in half. Do not do that to me. Don't try to convince me that you are doing us a favor here. You are not doing a favor by that. You could have dropped the price of EpiPens just as well. But instead, you said, no, we're going to make a generic.
But to the
No.
point of the wholesale acquisition cost of getting to those patients and making the difference, to your point, to make sure everyone who needs an EpiPen has one, I couldn't ensure by the wholesale acquisition cost on the branded side, this channel, that would get to all the...
You did not want to cut the price on the EpiPen brand, whatever you want to call it, because you wouldn't have gotten your rebates from the PBMs like you get them now. I'm waiting for the information that you have promised me that you will send to this committee. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to hold her to that.
And, sir, what I can tell you is that to bypass this, the most immediate thing that we could do was to put a generic in, because it bypassed the formulary, the everything you're just describing.
Are you getting a rebate on those generics from the PBMs? Are you getting a rebate on the generic version of EpiPen from the PBMs?
Those are still under negotiation. We haven't done those arrangements yet because we're launching.
But are you planning on getting a rebate? Are you planning on getting a rebate from the PBM for the generic version of EpiPen that you are introducing?
I don't know. I honestly don't know how.
Remember the oath. I'll tell the truth.
I'm not negotiating those, but I can tell you, as you know, the formularies, the PBMs and the generics, it's very different than on the brand side of the house.
Well, the gentleman, I know that he doesn't have any more time, but I just want to help clarify something.
I yield.
And this is to help. I just want to take just one step further. Do you know what you get from the PBMs for the regular EpiPen? How much rebates? The gentleman was talking about that. And do you?
That's what I said. I don't want to give an inaccurate
And you can,
number
but you
of
can
what-
get us that information?
Well, I absolutely will go back
Okay.
and work on that information.
And two, you expect to be getting rebates from the generic, is that right? Yes or no?
He asked specifically about the PBM, and I don't want to give an inaccurate
But
answer.
I didn't ask you that. I said, are you getting?
We pay rebates. We pay rebates on the generic as well. And
That's not what he's talking about. You know what he's
But I
talking
know,
about.
but I can't sit here today and tell you what comes back on the generic. What I can tell you is that there's discounts and rebates paid, but it's a much smaller degree on the generic.
Mr. Chairman, reclaiming my time, this is a shell game. That's all it is. Ms. Bresch, I hope you never have the experience of going to a counter and telling a mother of a child who has suffered from anaphylactic shock that she needs to pony up with $600. I hope you never experience that, Ms. Bresch. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. Ms.